Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the Reading Through the Bible series. Today we'll be talking about 2nd Chronicles. As always, I like to start out with who the book was written by, and just like 1st Chronicles, 2nd Chronicles was written by Ezra. And then for my main takeaways from the book, I wrote that Solomon establishing himself as king and praying for wisdom happens in chapter 1. Building the temple is chapters 2 through 4. Solomon's wealth and death are in chapter 9. I wrote that different people were ruling over Judah. This happens from chapters 11 through 29. The Passover was celebrated in chapter 30. The last couple chapters are about who was ruling Judah. And finally, I wrote that the book ends with Jerusalem being captured and burned. Those were all of my main takeaways from the book. For my didn't know / didn't realize section, I only have 2 takeaways for this section. First takeaway I have for this section comes from 2nd Chronicles 6, verse 36. Mentions that there is no one who does not sin. I knew this already and knew that this was mentioned throughout the Bible, but wasn't sure where. I'm not sure what I'm trying to reference here, so I'm going to reread this real quick. I'm not sure if I just was trying to say that if you were brought up in like the Christian faith traditionally, you are told that no one who is human outside of Jesus does not sin, and I guess just seeing like a very direct phrasing of that in the Bible, I guess, really stuck out to me last year when I read this. So yeah, that verse specifically states that there is no one who does not sin. So that's where I found that in the Bible. The second takeaway I wrote for the section was from 2nd Chronicles 7, verse 3. I said at the end of the verse, it's a lyric from my childhood. Which, wow, another lyric from my childhood? Let me reread this verse real quick. It's essentially the same quote as the verse that I was mentioning in my 1st Chronicles video. I will read the verse for you guys real quick. This is 2nd Chronicles 7, verse 3. And it says, when all the people of Israel saw the fire come down and the glory of the Lord on the temple, they bowed down with their faces to the ground on the pavement and worshipped and gave thanks to the Lord, saying, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. It's that last portion of that verse where it says, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever, is where I'm specifically referencing. And it does come from that childhood song, which is called Forever, or His Love Endures Forever, depending on which version you want to listen to. I guess 2 different artists came out with their versions of the song, and I cannot figure out which version was the one I grew up with, but it was by Chris Tomlin and Michael W. Smith. And again, in case you didn't see my 1st Chronicles video, it is just a song I really loved as a child and definitely recommend if you want to give it a ring, or give it a listen, I should say. But yeah, that's it for my didn't know / didn't realize section. And then for my favorite verse, I wrote 2nd Chronicles 6, verse 40, which reads, now, O my God, let your eyes be open and your ears attentive to the prayer of this place. I think that's a very interesting and specific verse for me to choose as my favorite from this book of the Bible. It feels almost like a pre-prayer to the prayer that's coming in the next 2 verses of this chapter of this book, because verses 41 and 42 are a prayer that's being said, but it almost feels like verse 40 is kind of part of the prayer as well, where they're hoping that God is truly hearing what they're asking for. And I find that both interesting and relatable. Interesting because it's like, obviously it's God, so God knows like the desires of our heart truly. But relatable because as humans, we're not God. So I think that's kind of always our prayer deep down whenever we're praying to him, is that we're hoping whatever his answer will be, that he is listening to our fears, our worries, our hopes that we're conveying through our prayers. So yeah, a very interesting verse for me to choose as my favorite, but I'm glad it gave me a reason to reread that. But yeah, as always, all of these videos are getting added to a playlist on my channel, which is linked below, so if you're interested in seeing any other videos of me recapping books of the Bible, please feel free to check out that playlist. As always, I hope you guys are having a good day, and if you're not, that's okay too. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!